There's two pictures stroke videos that had the biggest impact on me. One was young Ibrima, you just saw. I got the power. That little lad who 6 years hadn't stood and had the bravest and happiest face. And I'll show you this photograph. And this was, I took this on Christmas Day about 7 years ago, just after I started the homeless charity, where I was out cooking, cleaning, feeding the homeless. I was out on my own, taking this trolley around on Christmas Day. And I met one of the elders, a chap called G, who lived outside Debenhams for 8 years. And I found all this food on the pavement, all these goodies. And I thought I was the only person out on Christmas Day looking after the homeless. So I said to G, I said, what kind souls have been out here today and put all this food out? There's a guitar, there's food, there's everything that a homeless might need. He said, nobody. I said, where's all this come from? He said, well, we the homeless who have next to nothing, we always know there's somebody else who's got even less than we've got. So we the homeless have got together and we've put this together out on the pavement for those who've got even less than we've got. And that is one of my all-time most powerful photographs. And I cried my eyes out. So that and young Ibrima, who you saw now, those two things have helped. You know, you have these epiphanies through life. I've got to be careful now, I was a bit choked. But those are two of the most impactful things I've seen. Young little Ibrima, that smile on his face, and he's now doing really well. So if I may, I'll introduce my bro now, Alpha. He'll tell you his story, because he's lived this. Alpha.
Hello, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to come and meet all of you here. We are very grateful. So along the way, I'm just going to say I'm here. My name is Alpha Balde. I am here to present about Alpha Community Healthcare Project. And I would like to say this is going to be, if successful, this is going to be our, our logo. And this depicts the flag of the Gambia, red, white, blue, white, green. And a brief history about who this guy is, that's me. So I am so grateful that I graduated from the University of East London recently, where I studied biomedical sciences, and I am presently working with Bart Trust at the Royal London Hospital in hematology and blood transfusion. So before going any further, I would like to say a little brief history about my life history. I am born into an extended family. I am the oldest of 8 children from my mother, and I have 18 other siblings from my other 2 stepmoms. So my dad had 3 wives, and my mom was the second wife. When I was young, I was bedbound most of my childhood due to osteomyelitis. And you can hear, earlier on we saw what osteomyelitis does to legs when Jackie did her presentation. My leg was swollen, which as a result was the reason why I was sent to school. When I was young, I was bedbound, I couldn't move, I was only on a bed, until luckily one healthcare personnel who was going around the community saw me lying down and threatened my family. If I'm not taken to hospital and supposedly die, he will take them to the police station. So I was taken to hospital when I started recovering, and then they decided that I'm so unfit to work in the farm. So as a result, they decided that I should be sent to the school. So that was the reason why I was sent to school. So during this process, I had short-term and long-term goals. And my short-term goals were to complete education and at least have the opportunity to have a job whereas I can sustain myself and possibly sustain others. So along the way, my long-term goals developed. With the help from this health personnel who have saved my life and given me the opportunity to go to school, I said to myself that I also want to give back to my community, because with the opportunities I have, I believe there are so many others who haven't had the opportunity. So I had the desire that if I have the opportunity to work and save money, I want to give back every single penny I have saved back to my community to build a health center. And this has been my long-term goals from day one. During this process, what I have done to achieve this was I work 2 jobs. In the morning, I work at the main referral hospital in the Gambia, and in the evening, I go to work at Luigi's Hotel, which is owned by Julie and Luigi family. So along this way, I was able to save some money, and with the support and help of my beloved Julie and Luigi family, and with some sponsorship, I was able to travel to the UK to do my studies, which I graduated with first-class honors. So along the way, lucky me, I met Chris. So meeting Chris has been the beginning of this journey to achieve a long-term desire of helping my community. Because with myself alone, with the little savings I am doing, it was just a fearful thought. It was just a fearful dream that this is what I want to do for my community. But luckily, with Julie, she knew what my ambition was in life. She knew what I wanted to achieve. With the beloved of Chris, how he was supporting the school, she then introduced me to Chris. And introducing me to Chris has opened every single door. All the fearful thought that I had in my mind of building a health center for my community started becoming a reality. Instead of fearing the fact that I cannot achieve this, I started going all out knowing that, you know what, this is actually possible. So for that reason, from day one, I have been very grateful to Chris, and I can't thank him enough. And these are the two most important people in my life who has really impacted every single moment in my life. And I would like to say thank you very much to Julie and Chris for these opportunities. I would like to, this is my primary school where I attended school, and this is just a short video I would like you to watch. Sorry, I think there's a little language there, but I'm really sorry.
Our health courses, that is health and sanitation. Health is very, very important in human life. And health is very important. If you see today, in all these grades 5 go to school here, they are healthy. Without health, there are certain things we cannot do. Even if you have money, like shit. But the problem is, if you are not healthy, you don't have the money, you're not healthy, you cannot enjoy the resource that you have. You cannot enjoy the money that you have. So health is very important in life.
That's a video of my primary school, and looking at this video, we have so many girls and boys, and along the way I can assure you, because I come from this community, by the time they get to junior school, most of them won't go to school anymore because of less opportunities that are given to people when it comes to education. And out of this number, I can tell you, less than 10% of the girls will proceed. Most of them will go back and then they will get married along the way. So this is my desire. This is the Gambia map. So this is the urban area where most of the opportunities are mostly based. And I come from the farthest area of the country, in the Gambia. So the Gambia actually is in West Africa, where this is, I want to implement this project. And looking at it, the healthcare facilities that will provide health services to communities that are living, if you look at the distance from here to there, it's approximately around 300 miles. That is 285 miles. And we want to provide these opportunities for people that are living in the farthest part of the country. And looking at it, according to the 2013 census, which shows a population of 11,189 people living in 3 villages that are closer to the village where I come from, which is called Nyamanar. And out of that, there are over 20 villages that surround Nyamanar. And in those places, we are looking at a population area of between 50,000 to 100,000 people who doesn't have that opportunity when it comes to health. The closest health center that is closer to my village is 10 miles out. And as my vision in life, I've always thought my biggest impact will be given back to the community. So I've always asked, how could these benefits impact the livelihood of these communities? First of all, I believe giving them this opportunity will provide healthcare services to these communities, saving the lives of pregnant women and their unborn children from distress of traveling 10 miles to seek for healthcare attention. I can say it is so difficult to watch a pregnant woman who wants to deliver, to sit on a donkey cart trying to get to the hospital, or sitting on a motorbike or a bicycle trying to get to the hospital to deliver. And along the way, I can assure you, so many people deliver on the road going to the hospital, and most of the time the children doesn't survive. And mostly they don't even reach the hospital. As far as the woman has delivered, they always take them back to the health center. And mostly they develop some infections and then they also die. So there is high maternal death along the way. So the other thing will be to provide educational programs on health benefits, such as early child marriage, female genital mutilation, and the importance of education. Talking of health benefits, I am a prime example. I come from a family of 26 kids, out of which I'm the only one who managed to go to school. So if we teach people about health benefits of family planning, it will be important. People will manage their families, will plan properly, whereas instead of having so many kids, you can have a few and then you can give them a proper life. And the other thing is early child marriage. Most of the people that you see in that classroom, almost 90% of them will not even go to junior school. They get married at the ages of 15 years, 16 years. And by the time they got to 25 years, they've got 7, 8 children already. And I want to put an educational program once this is provided so that people will stop that. The other thing is female genital mutilation, and it's really affecting women in my country. And it is constantly happening, although there are some issues, but it never just stops. It's constantly happening. And the other thing will be to minimize the suffering of these people, mostly pregnant women, during delivery, and poor individuals who could barely afford a living. And there are many occasions whereas someone will be sick, they doesn't have a bicycle or a donkey cart to get to the health center. What do? They walk this distance to get to the health center. And it is, imagine someone having malaria, 1+, 2+, trying to get to the health center, and you have to walk this distance. And it's really so unfortunate. And the other thing is to provide opportunity for girl education by supporting their schooling, building a vocational training center. So presently what we are doing, we are supporting girls. Once they get to finish primary school, we send them to the urban area. We buy them bicycle, we give money to the communities that they are living with for their feeding, to make sure that they are able to go to school and finish their education. And the other thing will be to create employment opportunities for the youth of the community, to prevent people that are going onto the back way. So far, so many of the youths think they can have better opportunities in Europe. So what do? They go on the back way, try to get to Europe, they come on the boats. Most of them die. So far, we've lost so many youths in our community who are trying to get to Europe for better opportunities. And it's not really happening because we are losing more people than we are having development. And with this, we can easily help sustain the youths that we have and then create opportunities for them whereas they can develop themselves. And the other thing will be to help improve agricultural products to provide sufficient food for the community through the provision of farm materials. With the help of Chris, I am so grateful to Chris. Honestly, he has really impacted my community so far. He helped us achieve 2 tractors, whereas these tractors are used during the raining season for us to plow the lands, plow it, and then have enough agricultural products. Because with these products, we are going to have enough food. And once we have enough food and enough feeding, people become stronger. Your immune system is stronger. So when it comes to illnesses, you are actually more active and more healthy. And this is one of the things that I am trying to achieve at a water borehole where I can provide clean, sustainable water to the communities. And the other thing, this is the Massey Ferguson 165 tractor from Chris. I would like to say thank you so much, Chris. And looking at this, this is a girl that we're supporting, and she graduated from the junior school going to the high school. You can see those smiles that you can really bet. That's my mom. And these are kids of the community. And this old block here is a guy that I met along the way. It's Julie's dad. He's my top man. So I've stayed with him for 4 years. Since I come into England, he has been supporting me from day one. I stayed with him. I caused him so much trouble, I can tell you. So I'm very grateful to have him in my life. Unfortunately, he passed away on the 31st of July last year. And unfortunately, he's not here to see me at least give back to my community. But I know I'll make him proud. So far, these are achievements and progresses that we have made since the initiation of this project. The first of all is the lands where we want to implement these projects. When I spoke to Chris and he gave me the belief that this is possible, I went back to my community. I told them, you know what, I met this individual who's really looking forward to help us get a health center. Well, I first spoke to my family. So they said, don't go any further. We will provide you any sort of land that you need for the implementation of this project. And they gave me a land to implement the healthcare, a land for the gardening center, a land for the fish and farm products, and then a cashew farm. So they gave me all this, make sure that this is available if I want to implement this project. And the other thing that we've done so far is an architectural design, a complete design with a pilot plan for the building project, which is going to cost £150,000. And guess what? Chris funded the project to achieve this building project. Thank you so much, Chris. And the other thing is the 2 tractors that I just mentioned not long, which costed £16,500 for the community to have enough feeding with them. The other thing is the design website, which we saw from the first slide, the logo that we've developed. And with this logo and with the website, we will be able to update our sponsors and promote accountability, whereas whatever we are doing with whatever funds we have, we can easily show to the people that are sponsoring us that, look, this is what you've sponsored and this is where your money has been invested into. And these are the lands that we've achieved for the project, you can say. And this is a plan of what we want to build for the community. It's going to have a trauma unit, examination rooms, an x-ray department, a pediatric, a staff room, and then the male admission. And most importantly, the women. We've got a female admission ward, an antenatal ward, and an antenatal clinic to make sure that women doesn't have to sit on donkey carts to get to the health center and deliver on the way getting to the health center. We want to make sure that stops. And the other thing, this is, if the project is complete, this is how it's going to look like. This is a full view of the training. And this will be part of the pilot plan project that we want to build. And this is another pilot plan. You can see all the building will be in there and with enough lighting inside. And this is the front view. And along the way, I just want to say, what are our future plans? What do we want at the moment? Things that we are looking to achieve. We want to get 2 borehole water tanks of 5,000 liters to support our building project and to make sure that our gardening has enough water, as well as the fish and prawn farms, because it needs access to water constantly. And the other thing that we are looking to implement is a solar power grid that can supply the health center with electricity to sustain all the necessary equipment, because it is happening at the far end. There is no electricity in the village, unfortunately. And the other thing we are trying to achieve is to complete the final phase of the health building and a vocational training center, a staff quarters, a cold storage room, and to buy 2 more tractors along the way to make sure that, because the community is so large, and we want to make sure that at least everyone have access to develop themselves with the tractors. And the other thing is to buy healthcare equipment for basic medical care, for general medicine, pediatrics, maternity, and orthopedics. And to do that, we are looking at buying patient monitors, defibrillators, ECG machines, and 100 hospital beds with wheelchairs. And the other thing is the diagnostic laboratory and imaging services. We're looking at X-ray machines and ultrasound, hematology, and clinical chemistry analyzers. And in doing so, we thought about, okay, how can we sustain this? It is about sustainability, not just put it to the community, but we want to sustain it. Like one woman who wisely said to me when I went to visit them, her name is Monica, Chris's lady. She told me, it is not always good to give someone fish. It is better to teach them how to fish so that they can sustain themselves. And that really resonates to me so much, that whatever I'm doing, the first thing I always think about is the sustainability aspect of it. So with whatever we are doing for the village, we are talking about community-based support through agricultural products and the involvement of the village in the daily running of the clinic. The other thing will be the initiation of sustainable businesses to work with the health center to make sure that whatever profits they have, they can then implement it, send it back into the health center. The other thing is the support from the government, because what we are doing, actually, we're trying to support the community. The community are part of the government responsibility. So whatever we're doing, the government will support us with medical staff, and then we can do the payment for their salaries and maintenance. And the other thing will be to maintain the sponsors, because the sponsors are the most important aspect in achieving this. So we want to be accountable in everything that we're doing, and we want to show complete credibility on how funds are used. And the other thing is to create weekly sales market, whereas stalls will pay in money, and then that goes back to the community as well, to the health center. And I would like to say thank you so much for your kind attention, and please do join us in this Paying Forward project, and I'm really pleased to have you, and thank you so very much.
I'll talk more about Alpha later, but for time next, if I may, I'd like to introduce Anita. Anita's been the driving force behind the Bang Sang Hospital for the last 145 years.
Good afternoon. I'm Anita. I went out to the Gambia in 1992 with my family on a family holiday, and little did I realise that that was going to be life-changing for everybody. And I visited the main teaching hospital on the coast, and I was appalled at what I saw there. But every slide you're going to see tells a story. I can't fit 31 years into 20 minutes. So I had a guidebook with me, and in there was an appeal for Bang Sang Hospital. And I contacted the author and told him I've just seen the most horrendous situation. And he said, look, I'm a hard man. I travel the world. He said, but nothing prepared me for Bang Sang Hospital. He said, I wept like a baby. I couldn't even go inside. And he said, you won't go because nobody travels inland. So that's exactly what I did. Now, the Gambia is 23 miles wide on the coast, 11 miles as you go up country, and we have the River Gambia running the full length. This is the only means for patients to cross to Bang Sang Hospital from the North Bank in this particular area. And if it's closed at night, well, it's tough. You're going to have to rely on the tin boat to get you across. And the town of Bang Sang has a population of just over 8,000 people. And the hospital was built and opened on the 11th of April 1938. It was built by the British. And anybody who walked through those doors when I was there in 1992, they hadn't got a hope, not a hope of surviving. And just to give you an idea, patients do come in still on horse carts. And we're covering long distances, and we're talking about periods of the rainy season when they haven't even got access to the hospital. And this is a hospital serving 600,000 people. We are the main referral hospital for 45 health clinics, including 3 from Senegal. And this is what I saw. This is a hospital. This is where you take your patients. It was just awful. I went into the children's ward. I couldn't even see a child. It was just contaminated pieces of foam with every imaginable body fluid. And kerosene lamps and candles. That was how they lit the hospital. This was a minor theatre. I mean, you can see how dirty it is. What chance have these patients got? And what can I do? This is another scene from outside showing part of the exterior of the male ward. And this is a sluice and a sterilisation room combined. You can see latex gloves hanging there, which are being reused. There was not even a paracetamol in the hospital. And this is one of the original beds that went in 1938 that came out about 12 years ago. But patients are sleeping on this. They didn't even have the mattresses. And ether was used in the operating theatre. And if you came round during an operation, if it wasn't done quick enough, it's tough, it's hard. And then we had an added problem, rats. We had to contact the British Pest Control Association, and it took 3 months of research to find out food habitat species. And when they arrived, we got the wrong species of rat. This was a tree climbing rat. But they estimated on the children's ward alone, there was 1,500 rats. And that is the children's ward alone. This is the hospital kitchen. Nothing wrong with that, apart from the fact that, you know, the cooks, they've got smoke in their eyes, their lungs are filling. And what we have to look at is sustainability. And this is a kitchen we have put in. But in the 70s, the British put a kitchen in with an ice cream maker and a chip fryer. And we've got no electricity. I mean, it's crazy. So everything we do, the key word is sustainability in the Gambia. And when you have 4 children sharing a bed, have one with malaria, one with measles, one with malnutrition, and I can't remember the other one. But these cases, they're all mixing. It was really atrocious. We have many, many cases of malnutrition. And they couldn't stay in the hospital. There wasn't enough beds. Surgical cases mixed with cases that we didn't know. But they're all together. And I got to a point, I didn't even want to go to this hospital. It was heartbreaking. This was my dream. This is what I dreamt about. An 80-bed children's unit offering medical, surgical, neonatal care, play therapy, doctors on call room. But it took 2 years, and this one mould made all the bricks for our 80-bed children's unit. I watched every brick going up when I went out, and to see this going up was incredible. But it was done on a budget. We couldn't even get anybody to go up country because the roads are so bad. Some of the potholes are so big it will swallow your vehicle. So nobody wanted to do this project. So the government did a bit of arm twisting, and we opened the ward. It was pouring with rain this particular night. The rain was pouring into the children's ward, and we took polythene bags, umbrellas, and we carried the children to the ward. And when they walked in, the mothers, they looked round. They had no idea what this building was. They'd never seen anything like it before. So there was great celebrations that night. And one thing that we all take for granted is play therapy. And it's so important to release those endorphins and make the children happy. And this sometimes can be the best medicine of all for any child. And we have, we employ 35 staff now, and 3 play therapists. And this little girl, we had so much excitement, she's just checking that my heart's still going. And I'm very fortunate to have he was the British High Commissioner for the Gambia at the time, visit Bansang Hospital. As I've said, every picture tells a story, and that's a big story which I can't go into. And he is now patron of my charity, which I've been running for 31 years, basically on my own, from the kitchen table with my family to support me, and various volunteers who regularly go out. We've sent in excess of 53 40-foot containers, but the price now is really exorbitant. And we need to be using the resources that are in the country as well. We can get mattresses made, and that's thanks to one of Julie's contacts. They're much, much better than the NHS ones and will last so much longer. But this children's ward had problems. The termites were eating through the window frames, and with the heat. Now, we're all talking about climate change and the heat, but it's been regularly temperatures from sort of end of February until the rains arrive in June, late June. We've got temperatures hitting 50 Celsius. And these are alu-zinc roofs. So what we're doing now with all of our work, we're putting plaster ceilings in. And we're using aluminium screens. All of these things were not available when I first went. It was just cheap Chinese reproductions. So we're able to separate the burns unit, separate the dressings unit. And this is Jeanette, who's been going out for 13 years. She is a neonatal specialist from Kettering Hospital, and she's been going out for 13 years now. But when I say about sustainable equipment, this is an ordinary oxygen concentrator, but it's been designed, and we have the equipment, so it's continuous positive airway pressure. So these little babies that are born premature, it opens their airways to help them survive. And this is all because of this man, Robert Neighbour, who is based in Devon. He spent years running his business, living in the back of his van. He was so passionate about wanting to help low-resource countries and be able to afford things at a reasonable price. This is a Gloucester Vent anaesthetic machine. We have 3. Nothing has gone wrong with these machines. He goes out, he trains them. He has online training facilities as well. So if there are any parts needed, it's okay, not a problem. But women coming in on the back of donkey carts from long journeys, some of them for days, having to walk up these stairs. I've seen women being resuscitated on the stairs. And so what we did, we've renovated. This was the old children's ward. And I tell you what, the day that roof came off was an absolute blessing. All those noises, all the smells just went. And we raised the roof so there's more ventilation, put in plaster ceilings, and this is now a female ward. But it's not big enough, and our future plan is to actually transfer both antenatal and postnatal women into the 2 separate areas. They're presently in a small room that we have renovated, but when you have a mother give birth to a baby and she's cooing over this newborn baby, and then you have a mother who has lost her baby, that's hard. And this is our one of our plans for the future. This is the female medical ward, and it has a twin side on the surgical side. And this is now being transformed into a conference and training centre. And we open this up, not just to Bansang Hospital. We'll have the SEN nurses coming in here, the fire brigade, the police. This is open to everybody. And we want to help and work with the community. And the other side of the ward is now administration offices. The male ward is another project we've just been developing. Once again, it's not big enough. It's still the same size as it was in 1938. But one of the key problems, when I went to Bansang, staff ran away. Nobody wanted to stay in this hostile environment. And I did a simple test to find out what would make you want to stay here. And I had 10 points, and they had to tick. I was thinking the Western way, thinking money will solve everything. It will solve your education, your feeding. At the top of the list, and I feel ashamed, but at the top of the list, they wanted respect. They wanted somebody to put an arm around them and say, thank you. Thank you for the job you're doing. Secondly, they wanted decent homes to live in. How can you expect skilled staff to live, this one door, one window, this block of 7 it is, how can you expect a family to live like that? We have months, or we did have months, with no electricity at all. You go home, you close that, and you'll be in pitch darkness. With the risk of the snakes during the rainy season, people are frightened to go out. And so what we've done, we offer ensuite bathrooms now. We're using existing buildings, ensuite bathrooms, bedroom, and an ensuite. And this is one of the finished products. We're using aluminium windows. We put porcelain floor tiles down, cement beds. It sounds a bit rough saying cement beds, but they're solid beds. We don't want beds that are going to collapse after a few years. And they're tiled with a nice mattress on the top. And this is what keeping our staff here. And this is why we have 98% staff retention rate. And that's not heard of anywhere. I was invited to go to the House of Commons to speak with larger charities about sustainability the first time, and the second time it was about staff retention. Nobody listened to me because I'm this little fish swimming around and they're the big boys. And yet Bansang Hospital today is a blueprint for what we should be looking at, looking after the staff. This is the ensuite bathrooms we put in. We have the furniture made locally. And look at these smiles. And we do have the most incredible staff. To get doctors to Bansang Hospital was not easy, but we have created from existing rooms doctors' accommodation with 2 bedrooms. We have 3 doctors now. But in those early days, can you imagine having to come into this hospital and give birth there? You either had a dustbin lid or a bucket underneath. Your chances were better to go outside and deliver in the gutter than in this hospital. So in those early days, it was a matter of trying to make do, make space. I mean, I'm a small charity. I left school at the age of 15. I have no qualifications, but I care. So we needed to put an obstetric theatre in, and these are the support poles. We don't have sophisticated scaffolding poles there. And I always tend to use glass blocks. They're really good, so it stops all the dust coming in, etc. And this is Chris, who's a local from near us. And that's a resuscitation unit, which will have an oxygen concentrator underneath. We don't need to spend £17,500 on a resuscitation unit. This has been built from an old wardrobe that we shipped out. And it just needs the light bulbs and the oxygen, which you can see there. And this is the obstetric theatre today. But many, many people are coming in with diarrheal diseases, particularly children. And that, you know, you can laugh at diarrhoea, but it's death for many of these children. And we shipped this second-hand sewage tanker from Holland. Not just for Bansang, because we've had huge backflows. And at the time, there was only 1 sewage tanker for the whole country. That situation has changed. But we're still going to the local prison, we're going to health centres to make sure that we keep this under control. This light here came from Kettering Hospital. It's dated around 1950s. But we've adapted it. We've got car headlight bulbs in there. We do not want sophisticated equipment that's going to go wrong. We can do all of this, and this was the main operating theatre, where the windows were broken and you're seeing the dust coming in. And Gambian doctors are amazing. Last year they helped... Am I racing on too far? Last year they had a gala dinner to raise funds so that they could come to the rural communities, because these are people who cannot get down to the coast. And in one day, they arrived on Friday, they operated 31 operations in one day. And it was breast cancer, problems with, oh God, I can't think. Anyhow, they were complicated operations, which meant these people didn't suffer. And they were just amazing, and they're planning that again for next year. This is another theatre we've built, so we've got 3 theatres now. This was the pharmacy. But every project I do, I like to have all the money in place before we start gutting a room completely, which you can see here. And by not using tables, but wherever possible, putting the tiled work surfaces in, it's making a difference. And when people arrive, after days of travelling for some of them, there's nowhere for them to sit. They stand, they pass out. So we've rearranged and reconfigured the whole hospital now. And we've got covered walkways. We use the concrete seating here, which will be there forever and a day. And they can wait here for their prescriptions. Whereas before, they were blocking all the main areas of X-ray and A&E, etc. So here we are. They're undercover, they're protected from the sun, from the rain. And these are some of the walkways going up that we've now put in, and they're all tiled. All very well having a hospital, but you need good maintenance. And we didn't have good maintenance. It was always somebody's nephew that was taking a role, and there was no tools, there was nothing. So I was very fortunate to win a Life Award with the British Plumbing Employees Council, and with that money we're able to get rid of things like this. I mean, the smells, you can't imagine it in this hospital. And every single department now has hand wash basins and sinks. Other departments have the showers as well. And the directors came out to look at the hospital. They were very, very happy with what they saw. But they said, how can we give you a Life Award and yet there's so much more to do? So this was the maintenance unit, and you can see how dangerous that was. So they had another award, which I was very fortunate to be given the following year, and we have a new maintenance unit. We have electricians and plumbers that go to the Gambian Technical Training Institute to be trained. We have females being trained now to become electricians, and we have one of the first electricians, women electricians in the country. And that's a huge step forward to recognise a woman in a male role. And she's accepted as an equal. We employ disabled people because we want to break down the stigma attached to disability. So we have 2 amputees, one working in records, one as an interpreter. And we actually have one young lady who is deaf and mute working in the operating theatre. But I have every confidence in this young lady. She's been there for 20 years now. And all our men and ladies kitted out here. There's Ramatulai at the end. So it's vital. Every day they go with checklists to find out what's not working. And this is one of the major problems in the Gambia, not continuing with the maintenance. And the local people are so thrilled with their hospital now that they have given us land free of charge. And with that, we've shipped out 2 165 Massey Fergusons, which have been completely reconditioned with the trailers. Now, they're not only used just for the community, and we're growing kus, which is one of the main crops. We have to use it to collect firewood, go to the bush. We have to collect it for building materials like the sand and the stones, which are beaten by hand in the quarry. And this is the kus, which is here. But the Chinese have fishing trawlers, which are quite sophisticated, and they've been taking so much fish out of the sea now. And not only that, what they're doing, they're turning the tilapia, well, any fish that they catch, into a protein powder, and they're shipping that back to China for consumption of their cows and pigs, and for their own aquaculture, which is worth billions. Protein is the main building block to patients' recovery, and this is what this is all about, a fish farm. And there we are. There's a big story attached to this. It wasn't easy getting the tilapia fish, but in 2 months' time we will be harvesting fish, which will be either smoking or freezing. It has to sustain itself because we've got to feed the fish, etc. And this young man, he started life in Bansang at the age of 7. He was the only one to survive out of 5 boys who were involved in the most horrific fire. He spent 2 years in Bansang. No such thing as morphine or anything. He suffered tremendously. His hands are all deformed. He always wears a hat because of the disfigurement, and his back is more like a crocodile's skin because there was no skin grafting at the time. He is now working in the fish farm. And he said, when I walk through the gates of Bansang Hospital, he said, I'm coming home. They're my family. And we have 2 types of malnutrition in the Gambia. This is kwashiorkor, with this peeling skin. The child is looking tubby. You don't always see the peeling skin. But for many people, they see these chubby children, they think they're healthy, and they're not. This is protein deficiency. And then you have marasmus, or if we translate that into English, it means the miserable child. And these are deficient in everything, calcium, protein, etc. But in Bansang, these children survive. And they survive because we have caring staff. There's a formula that we use, F75, F100. And this is a dresser. And here he is with one of our doctors that gave voluntary service. And this little boy is called the Little Porker now. And I can't tell you how important it is to have Chris on board, because he's recognised something that the big charities haven't, that by caring for your staff, respecting them, regardless of whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a litter picker, everyone is treated equally. And that is vital to the smooth running. This block, Chris is helping with, And we had to move staff out of there because the rains were coming in. And you can't expect people to live like this. These are the original doors from 1938. And one member of staff has been working there for 20 years, living in these conditions. So Chris came up with an award. And we have an award ceremony every year. And the award is going over and above the call of duty. And who should get that award for Man of the Year, over and above the call of duty? Our man here, Tonko, is our litter picker. We have to tell him to go home at night. He is so conscientious. And this is my youngest son, Lawrence. I'm afraid they've all got the bug. He runs a hub for homeless people, etc. in Lewisham. And peace, love, happiness, that's what we all want. I took that because I just think he's absolutely gorgeous. But can I just for a minute, just listen to this lady. We have an SEN school attached to Bansang Hospital. At the moment, we can take 50 SEN students for the whole country. They have 900 applications. There is a new school now, and I'm not sure quite how that's going. But just listen to this one young lady.
Just press forward.
Oh.
Can I help you?
Okay, hello. I'll start by greeting you all. My name is Pascaline Preva, a student from SEN school. When we say SEN, it means State Enrolled Nurse, and I have moved to my second year now. It has been a good school, a lovely school, a place where you can learn a lot from, and practicals at Bansang Hospital here. And I am being posted to female ward at the moment, which is also a nice place. All the staffs are lonely, they are lovely, and everyone is willing to teach us, and we have been learning a lot from them. We have been seeing different kind of disease conditions, which I love a lot because we are on a disease condition modules. Yeah.
So, would you like to continue working in Bansang once you're qualified?
Yes, absolutely, because I really love their administration.
It's very good, isn't it? And I like the fact that there is a lot of discipline here in this hospital, which is very important. And at the end of the day, the priority is the lives of the patients, isn't it? And we're just thrilled to have SENs like yourself, who are so deeply caring, knowledgeable, and are here to serve your people.
Exactly. I would really love to work here because the administration is strong enough and the discipline is there and everyone is willing to work. That is more important. Being caring of the patient, you have to make sure that you are good in it, and then you are being monitored in order to do your job properly. And all these qualities are here in Bansang Hospital. So working here after my studies will be a dream come true because I love this hospital a lot. It is a very nice hospital, really.
That's wonderful. When do you graduate? Thank you very much. I didn't twist her arm to say that.
Okay, so what we've done is, as I got to meet Julie and then Jackie and then Nita, they're like family, and we've actually got a group called The Family, and that's us, and obviously our son is Alpha. So my role really is to help facilitate the development of all these schemes. Yes, I'm funding as much as I possibly can, and I haven't told Roger yet how I've stolen the money from the different accounts, because he sat there, my accountant, for 34 years, and he'll tell me off afterwards. But if you can do something to help somebody else who can then help somebody else, and you can teach people to fish so they can feed other people, is that not what life is all about? So my role here is to help facilitate. I can't do what these amazing people do. I'm not hands-on. I left school with no qualifications. I started my first business when I was 6 years old, and I've been a street trader ever since. I'm a bit of a bum. But like Alpha, my view is now is we have a massive responsibility to help those who are unfortunate enough they haven't been able to help themselves, but who want to. And if you can help them, like Alpha's now trying to do. And when I first met Alpha, he said, I want to do this and I want to build this and this. I said, well, how much you got? He said, I've saved every penny in 5 years. I've got £20,000 and that's all to fence the land in. So Monica and I sat there and said, right, we'll match you pound for pound. The tractors will match him pound for pound. He went back early this year, met all the elders from the village. They've given us all the land that we could ever want for. Because we can do so much ourselves and we can build something, but the more important aspect is how can it become sustainable? The only way it can be sustainable is if the community buy into the project. So what we're looking to do, like with the tractors now we've got, and the same as Bang Sang does with the fish farm, if we can invest into the infrastructure and agriculture and training education of the local community, that in turn will generate revenue, and they in turn will take responsibility to help sustain those projects ongoing. Because it's, all the projects we've got here is about £1.5 million, £2 million I've got to try and find over the next 5 years. And it's one thing spending the initial money to get it up finished, but then who is going to sustain it? It has to be owned and developed and sustained by the community. So as well as building the projects, we're going to put infrastructure into the communities to build communities so they are sustainable and independent for life. So one of the things we've got with Alpha, the farm, is the tractors, is cashew farming. Well, I've got one of my clients, is a very strong Christian guy, and he's got a massive cashew nut company. And he'll give us all the agriculture planting we need to build a 10,000 acre cashew farm. We will give that to the community. We'll provide the tractors, and Alpha's already got 2 drivers working the tractors for the community. They then in turn will adopt the health facility, and they will make sure it survives and actually matures and develops. So my role here is I have a very simple way of doing this. I'm not an educated college graduate university. I have a very simple, I work on a traffic light system, which is red, amber, green. My reds are, what is the most immediate critical thing we've got to do over the next 6 months to make sure this thing survives? That's the must-dos. My ambers are, over the next 12, 18 months, 2 years, what should we be doing that could then develop and maintain? And then my greens is, what could we be doing? So must do, should do, could do's. It's very simple. And with each of my sisters and Alpha, we've been through every business with a fine-tooth comb over the last 12, 18 months, and we've now got a proper 5-year business plan for each one. Yes, I funded what I can do, and we're now taking this as our pilot today to roll out around our other homes, and then we're going to go to Christian groups and Rotary groups and luncheon clubs and try and get as many network people as we can get. And it's about their dedication and input and support for what we're trying to achieve. Yes, we need the money, but the network of people we can find is even more important. So that's my simple thesis. We've done all the reds and all the projects. I mean, Jackie now has pretty much single-handedly run the glove project. We fund 4 kids every month from the amputee programme, and we're now sorted to the end of this year, aren't we? We've got the extra staff, we've put the resources in. Jofi School now, we've got the kids on to the next year. We've bought the land, and we're now looking to secure it. With Anita had a problem with the staff accommodation. She had a set amount that she needed to do, and she was short. So next day, it was solved. I just could not allow this problem to persist any longer. So I said, right, I'll go and not tell Roger I've stolen the money from this company, and I'll write her a cheque instead. So it's a very simple thing. So we've now done all sorts of things for each of these projects. We've now solved every red problem, from digging a borehole to the kids couldn't do, at Jofi, they couldn't do exercising because they're sandals. So we bought plimsolls for every single child. I can't remember all the things that we've done, but all the reds are covered on each of the individual projects. My role now is to help portray this to the wider market, gain more support than I can possibly do myself. So this is now, what I've tried to do is now, as you know, Affinity Care Management is the management company that helps run here and the other homes. So what we've done is we've come up with Affinity Vision. This is an overarching charity we're setting up as a collaborative partner which will support each of the projects. So each of my sisters and my son will run their own individual projects, but we'll all sit on the overall board to help collaborate, spread the resources, because combined we're going to have far more impact like today, and you've seen 4 different stories. The impact each of those on its own is fantastic, but collaboratively the impact is exponential. So we've got Affinity Vision now, and you've got Nikki there, who's our website designer, who's putting the website. Nikki's going to help us get the charity registered and then go to governments and grants. But right here, right now, all we want to try and do is find like-minded people who have got hearts and souls like we have, who have got perhaps a bit of resources they can spare. We've got 3 separate fundings for each project in terms of capital and regular income. I've got some forms over there. I'd like to ask for your expressions of interest to see if you might be interested in some way, shape or form, sponsoring either capital or monthly or both. But also you may know people who know people. So we've got to get into central government, we get into local governments, companies. One of my clients, his son works for Unilever, and they've got a massive fund for projects such as this. Now, we don't know them. We, our family, are doing this blind ourselves. And what we've done is got it up and running. We've put all our own money into it to prove this is not a charity with a big administration, because most charities, only a fraction of what goes in product. The sisters and my son here, their whole lives, every single penny they've had throughout the whole is in this. I'm helping as far as I can, but I'm limited to what I can do. And Roger will tell me off of what I've already done. So this is what we've done. We've got Affinity Vision now as the overarching charity that sits above. That's the collaborative partner that will spread the word for the 4 individual charities all working together.